Good day, everyone. I am Ronnie Carsos Jr., a third year college BS Ed major in Values of Education here in Christian Colleges of Southeast Asia, Davao City. And now, this is Educ 9, Teacher and Curriculum, the final exam requirement. So, I'll be discussing the following of curriculum and curriculum development. Second, constructively aligned and developmentally sequenced learning programs, experiences and instructional processes. Third, contextualized learning programs or instructional plans. Four, teaching strategies that are inclusive of learners from indigenous groups. Fifth, selection and use of tools appropriate for monitoring, critiquing, and assessing instructional plans. Curriculum. Curriculum in an educational context is the planned sequence of instructional content, resources, and activities that students engage with during a specific course or program. It outlines what learners are expected to know, understand, and be able to do, serving as a roadmap for educators in facilitating effective teaching and learning experiences. For example, a high school science curriculum might include subjects such as biology, chemistry, and physics with a specific sequence of topics to be covered in each grade level. So the curriculum could detail the textbooks, experiments, and assessments to be used. So providing a comprehensive plan for both teachers and students to follow throughout the academic year. Curriculum development. So the curriculum development is the systematic and purposeful process of designing, structuring, and refining educational programs. It encompasses the identifications of learning objectives, so selections of instructional materials, and planning of the teaching methods to facilitate optimal students' understanding and achievement. This dynamic process considers educational goals, societal needs, and advancement in pedagogy to create a well-rounded and effective curriculum. So, an example of curriculum development could be the creations of new computer science program at a university. So, the process might be involved defining the learning outcomes, selecting appropriate programming languages and tools to be taught. So, structuring sequence of courses, designing assessments, and incorporating the industry relevant projects. The curriculum development would work collaboratively to ensure that the program meets the needs of both students and the evolving field of computer science, aligning with educational standards and industry demands. Is the constructively aligned learning program. So, constructive alignment refers to the design of educational programs where the learning outcomes, assessments, and teaching methods are carefully aligned to ensure meaningful and effective learning. So, in such programs, the assessments are designed to directly measure whether students have achieved the intended learning outcomes, and the teaching methods are chosen to support students in reaching those outcomes. So, the example of it is in a in a mathematics course with a constructive aligned design, the learning outcomes might be solving complex mathematical problems. Assessments would involve tasks that require problem-solving skills, and teaching methods would focus on the developing students' problem-solving abilities through interactive exercise in the real-world applications. The next one is the developmentally sequenced learning programs. So, developmentally sequenced learning programs involved on organizing content and experiences in a logical and progressive sequence that aligns with the learner's cognitive development. It recognizes that certain concepts or skills are the best introduced and built upon a students mature and acquire foundations knowledge. Example, in a language learning program design with developmental sequencing, basic vocabulary, and sample sentence structures might be introduced first to the beginners. So as students progress, more complex grammar rules and advanced vocabulary would be introduced gradually, ensuring a logical progressions that aligns with their growing language proficiency. So, in summary, constructively aligned learning programs ensure that the coherence between the learning outcomes, assessments, and the teaching methods, while developmentally sequenced program organize content in a logical progressions that corresponds to learners' cognitive development. So the next is the contextualized learning programs. Contextualized learning programs involve integrating real-world contexts, situations, or applications into the educational content to enhance relevance and meaning for the learners. This approach aims to connect theoretical concepts with practical scenarios, making the learning experience more authentic and applicable to the learners' lives or future endeavors. So, the contextualized learning programs example in a business management course with the contextualized learning, instead of solely discussing theoretical business strategies, students might engage in case studies based on the real companies. They could analyze actual market trends, financial reports, and make decisions as if they were in managing a business, providing a more practical and context-rich learning experience. So next one is the instructional plans. Instructional plans outline the strategies, activities, and resources that educators use to facilitate learning and achieve specific instructional goals. So these plans detail the methods and the materials employed to teach a particular subject or skill. So the example, in an instructional plan for a science experiment, the teacher may outline the steps, materials needed, safety precautions, and assessment criteria. This plan ensures that the experiment is conducted effectively with a clear objectives and a structured approach to guide both the teachers and students through the learning process. So in the summary, contextualized learning programs integrate real-world context into education to enhance relevance, while the instructional plans provide a structured guide for educators to implement effective teaching strategies and achieve specific learning objectives. So the next one is the teaching strategies that are inclusive or learners from indigenous groups. So first one is a culturally relevant curriculum. Designing and implementing a curriculum that incorporates the history, traditions, and perspective of indigenous cultures. This ensures that the educational content reflects the diverse cultural background of all the learners rather. Example, in a history class, include lessons on the indigenous history of the local area or the broader region, highlighting key events, traditions, and contributions of indigenous communities. Second, collaborative learning circles, fostering a cooperative learning environment where students can share their experiences, knowledge, and perspectives. So this allows for a more communal and supportive approach to learning. Example, incorporating group projects or discussions, circles where students can collaborate, share their cultural insights, and learn from each other's unique perspectives. So the third one is the multilingual instruction, recognizing and valuing linguistic diversity by incorporating multilingual elements in teaching. This may involve using bilingual resources, providing support for indigenous languages, or facilitating language exchange. So example, offering instructional materials in both the dominant language and the indigenous language, allowing students to engage with the content in a language that resonates with their cultural background. The fourth one is a place-based education, connecting learning to the local environment and community, acknowledging the significance of the land and its history. This approach helps learners see the relevance of their education within their cultural context. Example, incorporating field trips or outdoor activities that connect the curriculum to local indigenous landmarks, allowing students to learn in the context of their cultural and natural surroundings. The fifth one is the indigenous guest speakers and elders rather, inviting indigenous community members, elders, or experts to share their knowledge and experiences with the students. This provides authentic perspectives and enhances cultural understanding. Example, arranging for guest speakers for indigenous communities to talk about their cultural practices, traditions, and experiences, fostering a deeper appreciation for indigenous perspective. So, in the teaching strategies that are inclusive of learners from indigenous group, in the summary, inclusive teaching strategies for learners from indigenous groups involve incorporating cultural relevance, collaboration, multilingualism, place-based education, and authentic voices from the indigenous communities. So the last topic is all about the selections and use of tools appropriate for monitoring, critiquing, and assessing instructional plans. First, peer review. Utilizing peer review as a tool for assessing instructional plans where educators share their plans with colleagues who provide constructive feedback and suggestion for improvement. Example, teachers and professional learning community exchange instructional plans and provide feedback based on their collective expertise, ensuring a diverse perspective on the effectiveness of the plans. Second, rubrics and checklists. So, creating detailed rubrics or checklists that outline specific criteria and standards for evaluating instructional plans. This provides a systematic and standards way to assess the completeness and quality of plans. So example, developing a rubric that assesses instructional plans based on the criteria such as alignment with learning objectives, clarity of the instructions, inclusions of diverse resources, and considerations of students' engagement strategies. The third one, classroom observations. Conducting classroom observations to monitor the implementations of instructional plans, providing real-time feedback on how well the plan aligns with teaching objectives and engages students. Example, an instructional coach observes a lesson based on a teacher's plan, providing feedback on the effectiveness of instructional strategies and students' engagement and overall executions of the plan. The fourth one is self-reflection tools. Encouraging educators to use self-reflection tools to assist their own instructional plans, fostering a continuous improvement mindset. Example, teachers may use reflective journal or the guided questionnaire to evaluate their instructional plans, considering aspects such as lesson clarity, differentiations, and adjustments made during implementation. The fifth one is students' feedback and assessment. So, incorporating students' feedback as a valuable tool for assessing instructional plans, understanding how will the plans resonates with the learners and adjusting accordingly. So, example, after a lesson, students provide feedback on what aspects of the instructional plans were effective or challenging, helping the teacher make informed adjustments for future lessons rather. So in the summary, that selections and use tools appropriate for monitoring, critiquing, and assessing instructional plans. These tools collectively contribute to a comprehensive approach to monitor, critiquing, and assessing instructional plans, ensuring that continuous improvement in the quality and effectiveness of teaching practices. And that will be all. Thank you.